Hi everyone, Elisa with Jots Designs. In this video, I will be making a very simple polymer clay phone grip. The one I've been using is just old and no longer stays compressed. There are a few types of blanks out there that you can get. I have black ones right now, but I've seen white and clear as well. They typically come with round double-sided tape already attached to the bottom and come with ones you can use for the top if you'd like. There are ones with a bit of a lip and flat ones. I like using the ones with the lip for polymer clay to sit in rather than being on top. The cutter I use is one my dad 3D printed for me based on the measurements I gave him. If you do not have a circle cutter that is the correct size and don't have access to a 3D printer, you can easily make a template using a stencil sheet, cardstock, or order something custom from places like Etsy. You just need to make sure you measure accurately. As I mentioned, this is a simple project. I'll be using some stamps I purchased off of Temu to make an impression in the clay. I have Sculpey Primo clay in Peacock. First, I will need to condition the clay to make it more flexible and pliable. See how it breaks when I fold it in half? That's a sure sign the clay is not conditioned. You can use something like an acrylic roller and stacked playing cards to get the thickness you want, or a pasta machine like I am. When using a pasta machine, always start on a thicker setting and work your way down to the thickness you want. Fold the clay in half or thirds and make sure you have the fold at the bottom or on the side, especially when folding in thirds. This helps prevent adding bubbles to the clay. My pasta machine is an Atlas and has settings 0 through 9, with 0 being the thickest. I have this rolled out to a number 4. And I wanted to show you the difference when the clay is conditioned. When you fold it over, it does not break. Another tip, if you use a pasta machine, especially with the pearl clay like this, you may get these roller lines. You can faintly see them here going up and down. Some people place a piece of paper on top and burnish them out, but I find that doesn't work well for me and usually changes the thickness for how hard I need to press to get them out. So what I do is place the clay between 2 sheets of patty paper, regular printer paper can be used too, and then roll the clay through one more time. Now there's no more roller marks. I like using patty paper because it's slightly thinner than regular printer paper. To make sure your stamp doesn't stick to the clay, you can use a couple of things. Cornstarch is one, but it's not my favorite as sometimes I cannot get it fully cleaned off before baking. I normally use water as a release instead. I've got a sponge off to the side just for that purpose. I'll just add a bit of water, not so it's soaking, but good and damp. Then you just press the stamp into the sponge to get it wet, then apply it to the clay. I haven't used these stamps yet, so that's why I set aside some clay to do a test on to see how hard I need to push to get the indentation that I want. Even after testing, I needed to do it a second time. You can see some areas are really deep and others are faint on my first try. If you end up needing to basically start over, just make sure your clay is fully dry before feeding it through the pasta machine or rolling it out again. Otherwise, it will trap water in the clay and create bubbles when it's baked. I will stamp first so that I can easily center the stamped area within the cutter. This also makes it so you don't accidentally distort an already cut out piece. Now I will pick it up with my longer, more flexible tissue blade, first cleaning it with some isopropyl alcohol. With the blade angled, I'll quickly shimmer under the clay to pick it up without distorting it. Then I'm gently smoothing down the cut edges, and this helps have less cleanup after it's baked. I'm putting it in the phone grip to make sure the size is correct, and of course it wanted to stay. So I gently pried it up with my tissue blade. I want to make sure this stays as flat as possible, so I'm placing it between 2 layers of printer paper, giving it a light burnish to make sure that the paper sticks to the clay. Then I place a piece of ceramic tile on top, which is what ensures that it will stay flat. And even though the clay is sandwiched between the paper and has the tile on top, out of habit I tent it with aluminum foil. Then I bake it. Always bake at the clay's recommended temperature, Be sure to use an oven thermometer to see if your oven has any heat spikes or is at a different temperature than what it is set to. I always put my pieces in a cold oven, mainly because by the time I'm ready to bake, I realize that I forgot to preheat the oven. This has never caused me issues. I baked this for about 45 minutes total, so that's about 8 minutes for the oven to get to temperature, and then about 37 minutes for baking. Since this will be on the phone holder and have a top coat of UV resin, it does not need to be baked longer than the recommended time on the clay package. Other items, such as jewelry, I will bake for 1 hour, plus warm-up time, to ensure the strongest end result possible. Even at the low end of baking time, it is still strong and flexible, as it should be, and since it cannot be handled directly, I'm not worried about it possibly breaking. To make the indentation stand out, I will be using Pearl X varnish mixed with some metallic pigment powder. This is from Resin, who unfortunately has stopped making products, but if you're in the US, you can still find some on Laura's Art Corner's website. Links are listed in the video's description. Don't forget to use my discount codes. I will be using Deep Purple and Amethyst Dream. I've got some dotting tools I'll be using. This one has bent tips, and that's something I did with pliers. They usually come straight. The tops of the phone grips like this have 4 little tabs attaching it to the base. Just pop them out to make it easier to handle. I just wanted to make sure that everything is still good size-wise before I did any more work. This is freezer paper, and I'm using it to mix the varnish and powder, and then it's just easy to toss for cleanup, plus you can move it around if needed. You need to stir the varnish to make sure it is well mixed before using. I'm using more than I need, but you just need a little bit for each color. Same with the powder. A little goes a long way. Then mix everything together thoroughly. I added just a bit of the Amethyst Dream in with the Deep Purple to lighten it up a little. I ended up switching between sizes of dotting tools and a needlepoint tool to add the colors to the imprint, blending them a little bit where they meet. Then I let that dry for about 24 hours to ensure it's fully cured. Now that it's dried, I will be adding UV resin. I've got it on top of this silicone piece that I just cut down from a larger piece so it would easily fit under my UV light. These are great for keeping your piece in place and easy to clean. I will be using Let's Resin UV resin. Check the video description for links and discount codes. I've also added it to these bottles for ease of use when using small amounts. And the nail polish bottle gives me a dedicated brush that I never have to worry about cleaning. I'll be using my Melody Susie UV lamp, which I have taken the tray out of so I can just place it over my piece when I'm ready to use it. I've got a long lighter to pop bubbles and a silicone brush to help spread the resin if I'm not using the brush. I'll start with just enough that will cover the piece and get it spread around with a silicone brush. I grabbed a toothpick to help hold it a bit, then changed to the nail polish brush as I find that it is sometimes easier to use. I started adding a little bit more resin and popping bubbles until I was happy with the dome. Get down at eye level to see how much of a dome you are creating. The silicone brush is easy to clean off using isopropyl alcohol. Then I let it cure, covering the front with foil to help bounce the light around more. This lamp has 120 seconds and 180 second timers, or if the button is in the neutral position between the two, it will stay on for 30 minutes. I used the 180 second timer 2 times for a total of 6 minutes. Once it's fully cured, I'll add the round double-sided tape that came with the phone holder blanks to stick the polymer clay to the holder. For a more permanent solution, you can use super glue or a 2-part like this JB Weld kind. All finished. Super simple and easy to do. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget I have discounts and product links in the description as well. And help out my channel by clicking the like button, commenting, and/or sharing this video. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye.